Jesus, a special teacher, loved to tell simple stories called parables, short tales with big meanings. He spoke about everyday things, farmers, bread, and lost sheep, making big ideas about God's love easy to understand. Parables were like little windows into the kingdom of God, showing what it means to be loving, kind, and brave. One of his most famous parables is the story of the Good Samaritan. Jesus told it when a man asked, "Who is my neighbor?" Instead of giving a direct answer, Jesus shared a story that challenged everyone to think about kindness and compassion. This story invites us to open our hearts to all people, not just those close to us. It's a beautiful picture of true love and compassion in action. The story begins on a dangerous road, a path fraught with peril and uncertainty. It's a road where shadows dance and danger lurks around every bend, a place where the unexpected can become reality in the blink of an eye. This road stretched from Jerusalem to Jericho, a well-traveled route, but also known for robbers who hid among the rocks and in the shadows, preying on the vulnerable. The landscape itself seemed to conspire with them, offering countless hiding places and escape routes. One day, a Jewish man, full of life and purpose, traveled this road, unaware of the dangers that awaited him. He journeyed, perhaps to visit family in a distant town, or perhaps to sell goods at the bustling market in Jericho. His heart was filled with anticipation, his mind occupied with the tasks ahead. Suddenly, without warning, robbers ambushed him, their figures emerging from the rocky landscape like demons from a nightmare. They stole everything he had, stripping him of his possessions and leaving him with nothing but the clothes on his back. They beat him mercilessly, leaving him badly hurt, bleeding, and alone on the side of the road, a broken figure in the desolate landscape. He lay there in the scorching heat of the sun, the relentless rays beating down on his exposed skin. He was weak, his body racked with pain, and he was filled with a growing sense of fear and despair. All he could do was hope that someone, anyone, would come along and offer him assistance. Every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call, made him wonder if help was finally on its way, if salvation was just around the corner. But the road remained stubbornly empty, stretching out before him like an endless ribbon of despair. The dust from the road settled on his open wounds, adding insult to injury. With each passing moment, he grew weaker, his strength ebbing away like water from a cracked vessel. His thoughts drifted to his family, to the faces of those he loved, and to the life he might never see again. He desperately wished for a kind stranger, someone with compassion in their heart, to appear on the horizon. All he could do was lie there and wait, his body aching, his spirit fading. He clung to the hope that someone, somewhere, would care enough to stop and offer him aid. The man's life hung precariously by a thread, each breath a struggle, each heartbeat a victory. He desperately needed a neighbor, a fellow human being, anyone to show him a flicker of mercy and compassion. Would anyone, guided by kindness or fate, ever come down that lonely, desolate road? He strained to listen, his ears searching for the sound of approaching footsteps, the sign of potential salvation. His hope flickered like a dying ember, threatened by the winds of despair. But deep down, a spark of resilience remained, refusing to let him surrender to the darkness. He needed someone to truly see him, not just as a wounded stranger, but as a fellow human being deserving of care and compassion. Soon, the distinct sound of footsteps echoed down the dusty road, breaking the silence of the afternoon. A figure emerged in the distance, a priest, his robes flowing as he approached. He seemed to be a beacon of hope amidst the desolation. The injured man, lying helpless on the roadside, mustered what little strength he had left, his heart filled with hope that help was finally at hand. He desperately needed assistance, but the priest, upon seeing the man's pain and the extent of his injuries, hesitated for a moment, his expression unreadable. He seemed to be calculating the cost of involvement. Then, to the injured man's dismay, the priest made a calculated decision and crossed to the other side of the road, deliberately avoiding him. He quickened his pace and hurried away as if trying to escape the sight of suffering, leaving the wounded man in his misery. Maybe he was afraid of getting involved, or perhaps he was simply too busy with his own affairs to lend a hand. The reasons remained unknown, but the result was the same. He callously left the man behind, alone and vulnerable, his hopes dashed by the priest's indifference. Not long after, another figure appeared on the horizon. It was a Levite, another member of the religious community. He was another respected religious leader, someone who, by his position, was expected to show compassion and offer assistance. He approached the wounded man, stopped briefly to look at him, and hesitated, seemingly contemplating his next move. But after a moment of contemplation, he too turned away, choosing to walk past the injured man without offering any help. He continued on his journey, leaving the wounded man alone and abandoned, his body aching and his spirit crushed. Both men, who were expected to be kind and compassionate, representatives of their faith, made the conscious choice not to help, prioritizing their own comfort and convenience over the suffering of another human being. The injured man's hope, which had flickered with each approaching figure, now faded almost completely, replaced by a growing sense of despair. He was beginning to realize that even those in positions of authority and respect might not stop to offer assistance, that appearances could be deceiving. The story serves as a stark reminder to us all that titles, status, and religious knowledge don't always translate into genuine compassion and empathy for others. The man was left, feeling more alone and vulnerable than ever before, his body battered and his spirit broken. He lay there, wondering if anyone at all, would care enough to stop and offer him the help he so desperately needed. 2 golden opportunities for help had passed him by, leaving him feeling abandoned and forgotten. The road was silent once more, the only sound the gentle whisper of the wind. Would anyone at all, finally stop and show him the kindness he so desperately craved? The man's heart ached with disappointment, each passing moment adding to the weight of his despair. He waited, clinging to the faintest glimmer of hope, praying that a true neighbor would finally appear and offer him the compassion he so desperately needed. Then a third traveler appeared, a Samaritan. Jews and Samaritans didn't get along, so the injured man expected nothing. But the Samaritan saw only a person in need, not an enemy. His heart was filled with compassion, not fear or prejudice. He rushed to the man's side, gently cleaning his wounds and bandaging them with oil and wine. The Samaritan spoke kindly, reassuring the man he would be all right. He didn't worry about differences or danger, he simply helped. Every action was full of care and mercy. The Samaritan saw a fellow human, not a stranger. He acted with love, showing what it means to be a true neighbor. The one expected to ignore him became his rescuer. Compassion overcame old divisions. The Samaritan's kindness changed everything. The Samaritan didn't just pass by or offer a few words of sympathy. He didn't stop at first aid either, though that was certainly a crucial first step. He understood that true compassion requires more than just a fleeting moment of concern. It demands a willingness to get involved, to invest time and effort into the well-being of another person, especially when they are vulnerable and in need. He lifted the injured man onto his own donkey, a selfless act that immediately changed the dynamic of the situation. This wasn't just about providing temporary relief, it was about taking responsibility for the man's safety and comfort, giving up his own comfort. He chose to walk, enduring the physical strain and discomfort, so that the injured man could ride and conserve his strength. This simple act spoke volumes about the Samaritan's character. Walking beside the donkey, he ensured the injured man's safety and guided him towards help. He wasn't just abandoning him at the nearest town, he was personally escorting him to a place where he could receive proper care and attention. He brought the man to a nearby inn, a place of refuge and rest. He knew that the injured man needed a safe and comfortable environment to recover, and the inn provided just that. There he cared for him through the night, tending to his wounds, providing nourishment, and offering words of comfort. He stayed by his side, ensuring that he wasn't alone in his pain and vulnerability, making sure he was safe and comfortable. He created a space of healing and rest, allowing the injured man to begin his journey towards recovery in a supportive environment. The next morning, as the sun began to rise, the Samaritan prepared to continue his journey, but not before ensuring the injured man's continued care. The Samaritan paid the innkeeper to look after the man, entrusting him to provide ongoing care and attention. He understood that his own resources were limited, but he was determined to ensure that the injured man received the support he needed, promising to cover any extra costs. He went above and beyond, demonstrating a commitment to the man's well-being that extended beyond his immediate presence. This was a promise of continued support, a safety net for the injured man's recovery. He didn't know the man's name or expect thanks, recognition, or reward. His motivation stemmed purely from a sense of compassion and a desire to alleviate suffering. He simply did what was right. He acted according to his conscience, guided by a moral compass that pointed towards kindness and empathy. His kindness was generous and thoughtful, extending beyond the immediate need to address the long-term well-being of the injured man. Not just a quick fix. It was a comprehensive approach that considered the man's physical, emotional, and financial needs, ensuring that he had the resources to fully recover. The Samaritan's actions showed true love, a love that transcends boundaries and extends to all those in need. Giving time, dedicating precious hours to care for a stranger. Energy, exerting physical effort to lift, carry, and care for the injured man. And resources for a stranger. He willingly shared his financial resources to ensure the man received the necessary care. He made sure the man would heal, providing the necessary support and resources for his recovery, even after he left. His commitment extended beyond his physical presence, ensuring the man's continued care and well-being. This is what it means to be a real neighbor, someone who sees the needs of others and responds with compassion and action. The Samaritan's care was deep and lasting, leaving a profound impact on the injured man's life. His love was shown through action, a powerful demonstration of what it truly means to be a good neighbor and a compassionate human being. When Jesus finished the story, he asked, "Which of these three was a real neighbor?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who showed mercy." Jesus nodded, making his point clear. Being a neighbor is about compassion, not background or status. The priest and Levite knew the rules, but let fear or excuses stop them from helping. The Samaritan, though an outsider, had an open heart and acted with love. Jesus told everyone, "Go and do the same." The lesson is simple. Love in action matters most. It's not about who you are, but what you do for others. The story calls us to live differently, to notice those in need. Jesus invites us to be brave and compassionate even when it's hard. The real neighbor is the one who chooses kindness. That's the heart of the parable. How can we be good Samaritans today? We may not find someone hurt on the road, but there are people around us who need kindness. It starts with small acts, welcoming a lonely classmate, helping someone who's fallen, or sharing with those in need. Don't just watch, step up and help. Families can be good Samaritans together, helping neighbors, donating to shelters, or making meals for those going through tough times. The story teaches us to help people who are different from us too. Welcome newcomers, build bridges, and show friendship. See every person as someone deserving of love and kindness. Being a neighbor means caring for everyone, not just those like us. Every day is a chance to show compassion. The Good Samaritan story is a timeless lesson about love. It reminds us to care for everyone, especially those who are hurting or left out. Each day we can choose to be like the Samaritan, ready to help, not too busy or afraid. Small acts of kindness can heal hearts and change lives. Remember, we can walk by or we can stop and help. Let's promise to keep our eyes open for those in need and our hearts ready to respond. When Jesus said, "Go and do the same," he invited us all to live with kindness and mercy. Our neighbor is anyone we meet along life's journey. Let's be helpers, healers, and friends every single day. That's the secret to a life filled with love. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content.